Hi, welcome to Open Hand Farm. My name is Penny and I am so glad you're here. I got a bunch of seeds today from different seed companies and I will link that video so you can see everything I got. But one of the things I got was celery. And when I was looking on the back, it said to start the seeds indoors 8 to 12 weeks ahead of your last frost. That would be last week, you guys, for 8 weeks. So I've got to get these planted. Now, in the past, I would just fill a box with dirt, make some rows, put the seeds in, and then I would up pot those as they got bigger. And this year, I decided to try something new. I bought a soil blocker. And I don't know if you're familiar with them. I have seen several people use them in their gardens on YouTube videos. So this is the general idea. This has little areas in it that makes little soil blocks. You tap this down into the soil, you fill those up, then there's a handle that you push to release the blocks in your tray. And then you have blocks of soil that you plant the seeds in. I'm going to try this for my celery. Let's put this thing together and get them planted. Let's look at the instructions and see what we need to do. So we need to take out the handle. Oh, there's the spring that we need to put on here. Okay, we have to push this down and screw it into the blocker. So you got to kind of hold it as you screw it. If I just get it started, I think I'll be okay. Yeah, and then it brings it up for you. That's not too bad. I can do that. Okay, we got it nice and tight. All right, there we go. Okay, now what we have in these little bags are tips that go in the blocks. And they're different sizes because different seeds have different depths that they need to be planted. Now, in the case of celery, it needs to be planted on the surface. So because it needs to be planted on the surface, I'm going to use this big square block and put that in so that it leaves an open area for me to put my celery seeds, and I just will not cover them up. I'll just leave them on there. So I need all 8 of my squares, and I can push this down to make it a little bit easier. Okay, so now I just need to get my soil ready to use my soil blocker. So when you're using your soil blocker, you want to be able to take it and push it into your soil and have it stick in there. But as you can see, that's not going to happen because this is too light and fluffy. So we need to have a moist soil. Now this is a mixture of coconut coir and compost. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know if it's going to work, but we are sure going to try it. So I'm going to add water. When I'm cooking, I have to look extra close and make sure I'm not using hands that have dirt in the fingernails, but I am not afraid of dirt. Okay, let's see how this does. I don't know, I feel like it still needs just a little bit more. And I know this is hard for you to see because you can't feel it, but if you just keep trying, you'll know. And like when I go to pack that in, it'll let us know if it's too dry for sure. I'm starting my seeds with a soil blocker. I had already started some, but I wasn't real pleased with the blocks. And the lady on the video said that you will learn as you go and do a better job of it each time. But she also sifts her soil, and that's what I'm going to do today. So I have this big screen that we had made for sifting something else, and it has a pretty small, I think it's a 1/4 of an inch screen on it. So I don't know if that's going to be too small. I have some bigger ones outside that I could go get if I need to, but I'm going to try to use this one. And I am going to use some organic potting soil as well as some organic compost together to make my soil mixture. So let's get that done, and then we'll talk more about the soil blocking. I'm going to start with the potting soil mixture, and I'm going to use 4 of these. All right, let's do some of this first. And like I said, this might be too small, but it's going through, so maybe not. I have a big clear tub underneath the screen, sitting on top of another clear tub to save my back. And as you can see, there's a lot of wood chips in there that would make a soil block not hold together well if that was sticking in it. Okay, let me get rid of this. And we're going to do 1 more scoop of that. This isn't a a recipe that I'm just holding fast to. I'm just trying to make it the same consistency each time. If I count the number of scoops I put in, it makes it easier to produce the same mixture the next time. So that's just what I'm starting with to see what I think. Now I'm going to add, I think, 3 scoops of the compost. They might not be as full. It's a little harder to get in this bag. Let me pull this bag out of the box that it's in. Okay, now we can open that bag all the way. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of, okay, there's 1, 2, 3. Now, I have not always put compost in my soil when I start seedlings, but I usually start them and they get to about 1 inch or 2 tall just when they get their real leaves, and then I put them in a mixture with compost in them. But with this method, you're going to have a block that is this big. So my goal is that I don't have to pot them, and that I can just take this block of soil and plant it in the ground when the time comes. So I want to add some compost to this mixture so it will have some food. All right, let me look at this. Oh, that is so much nicer than what I used before. Let me show you the texture of what I used before. And I could have just sifted this, but it's still a little wet, so I didn't want to do that. But there are definitely like pieces of the bark and stuff in here that, and like there's a stick. So stuff that made the block struggle to hold together in some areas. So I'm going to go ahead and sift this into my big box and mix it together. Hopefully it won't be too wet. And I'll show you what's left so that you'll see what I had planted seeds in previously. It's a little wet to do this, but I think we can manage. Okay, I think that's all the soil that's going to go through. And now we're left with our big sticks and bark and stuff like that. So you can see how having something like that in your soil would keep it from sticking together because it would break it apart. Now, oh my goodness, you guys, that makes such a difference. So I'm going to transfer that and then we'll get to work. So I feel like to do it the right way, I need a wider pan So I'm going to put this in here. We're going to add, I'm starting with 48 ounces. We'll see how much of it we use. Nope, we need more. I'm just putting it all in there because I'm pretty sure it's going to take it. And we're going to need more. All right, we're going to do about half of that and see what we think. Still got some dry pieces. Get these corners worked in really well. Okay, now what she said is when you pull this back, you should see some of the water kind of running on the bottom, and I don't see that. So I'm going to add some more. You guys, this is so much wetter than I ever imagined I needed to make this. In a minute, I'll show you my other blocks and we'll compare them. It's wetter, but it's not. I'm scared to add more, you guys. Maybe I'll just try this and see what happens. All right, so what you want to do is you want to kind of pile it up where you're going to use the soil blocker. Now let me show you this for a minute. This is a 2-inch by 2-inch soil blocker, and it makes 8 blocks. So it comes with 1/2 inch nibs. That's what I'm going to use today because some of my seeds need to go 1/2 inch down. Some of them only need to go 1/4 of an inch down, but they don't have 1/4 of an inch nibs, so I'm just going to use these. Okay, so now what happens is your square will have a little shape like that cut out of it to drop your seed in. Wiggle it, shake it, and then I'm going to kind of bring it up on the side of the pan. And there are my soil blocks all nice and full. And I'm now seeing moisture in the bottom of the pan. Hers was like that. I don't know if you can see that rolling down. Okay, so now what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to put them in a tray like this. So I have learned that I can put 8 here, 8 here, 8 here, 8 here, and then 8 this way. So get it over my corner. I'm going to push down and lift up and pull up. And there are my soil blocks with the little hole in the top of them to put the seed in. Can you see that? Now, at this point, you don't want to move these. But eventually, the seed will start growing. It will make roots grow down in here, and it will help hold all of that together. So by the time it's time to plant these in the ground, you can just pick up the blocks. She suggests wetting the blocks first so that if they are connected by some roots, then you can just easily wiggle them apart and plant that whole block in the ground. So these look great. These two are a little iffy. These look so much better than any I have done. Let me show you. These are already sprouting and growing, but you can see how rough they look with all the sticks and stuff poking around in them. And they didn't really hold together as well. Some of them, like down here, these here, just kind of fell apart. So they weren't wet enough, and I did not sift out all of these big pieces. So there are sections that aren't holding together well because those big pieces are in there. It's working, so that's a plus. I just want to do it better. And this will remind you that everything has a learning curve. So I am learning to do this. I watch other gardeners do this on YouTube channels. They make it look so easy, like just boom, boom, there's my blocks. Boom, boom, there's my blocks. And they look beautiful. These I am so proud of. So I'm going to go ahead and make some more to put in this pan. I'm going to redistribute the soil. Maybe if I put it there. And I'm going to push it in, wiggle it, and bring it up on the side. Get that off. As you can see, I missed some in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat, and I'm just going to do that. Now you want to clean this off so that they all sit level. And let's see how I did this time. Yay! I'm so happy with these. I'm going to fill this pan and then we're going to plant some seeds. Oh my goodness, you guys. I am so proud of these blocks. But I will say, I think they're too wet. So next time I will not make it as wet. I don't know what happened to these, but they're shorter. But it looked like they were full when I dumped them over. But that's okay. I have some plants that I can plant in those that are not deep plants and will be very small when I put them in the ground. So that doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and plant now. And some of the seeds I'm planting are very small and are surface sown. So I have this little very inexpensive seed thing. It came in a kit that I bought. And let me take this lid off. So you put your seeds in here, and this has numbers on it. And each number correlates to a hole size. And you can see there's really big holes. So like this would be for okra or beans. And then there's a very, very small hole right here. Now, the seeds I'm sowing are extremely small, and I'll probably still get more than I want out of that, but it's better than me putting them in my hand and trying to put them in the soil. So I'm going to start with my chamomile, and it is a surface sow. Can you see these seeds, how tiny they are? So I'm just going to put a few in this container. Let's see what we think happens here. I'm just going to tap it, and I see seeds going in. Okay. So I'm going to leave those as chamomile. So this is the agastache, and it's like an anise hyssop. And so it will reseed itself, but it will not reseed where it's not planted, and I want it in different areas. So I put a few in each of those, and I will put a name in it. And sometimes if I don't know exactly what my division is, I will just put one of these in between, and that way I know these are agastache and these are chamomile. So let's do some calendula, and I'm going to use this cedar again. Now, calendulas are kind of a funny shaped seed, so I'm going to use a bigger door for it to go out of. Okay, let's see what happens. I wouldn't mind having two. Whoops, I got more than two. Just in case it doesn't germinate. And then I'm going to put a little bit of vermiculite on top of them to be their 1/4 inch depth planting. The vermiculite is very light, and the seedlings can just push right through it. I have a schedule that I need to adhere to in planting seeds, and so far I've done 3 plantings on the dates I was supposed to plant them. That has never happened, you guys. Now, I hope that I continue in that, but sometimes life gets in the way. So if you're trying to plant some plants and you don't have time to get it done right now, just wait a few days and do it then. It's not going to hurt anything. You can still do it. Thank you so much for coming along today while I learned how to use my soil blocker properly and got some seeds started. And I want you to know that planting these seeds is where I start when it comes to the Every Bit Counts challenge in August. That's a challenge that a channel by the name of Three Rivers, a lady named Jessica, challenges everyone to preserve something every day, no matter how small. Just preserve something. And at the end of the month, you'll be surprised at how much you preserved. Well, last year, I planned my garden according to what I could preserve and what my family would eat that I preserved. So this is step one. And then after that challenge, Jessica also, through the months of January and February, has a pantry challenge where you only eat from your pantry the food that you have preserved or from your freezer or whatever you have on hand. And that's how you make it through January and February, hopefully not having to go to the grocery store. So if you're interested in those two challenges, now is the time to think about it. I'm thinking about, what will my family eat? What can I preserve? How can I preserve it? If you've never done those, consider doing them. Go to her channel and you'll find all the information, or you can watch my videos. I'll put some links in the description box to show you what it's like to preserve for a month and what it's like to only eat from your pantry for 2 months. Now, I am actually still in the month of February for that, but I'll be done soon, and I had no idea I could make it through. Until next time, blessings on you and yours.